What's up, guys? We're taking an ISideWith 2020 presidential election quiz, finding out who I side with for the election this year. It's a very important question, actually. And before I begin, make sure you subscribe and make sure that you watch my other videos, which I assure you are big brain. Alright, now let's start off very quickly with the first one. Do you support the use of nuclear energy? Other stances. I'm being very nuanced here, alright? Hopefully you're looking at the screen because I'm not going to read all of these out. Public subsidy is bad. Nationalization of industry is bad. As long as there's no public subsidy, I think so. Yeah, I don't care about green energy at all. So, yes, I will allow you to build nuclear energy as long as you don't make me pay for it. Should the government require children to be vaccinated for preventable disease? This is a huge constitutional argument that you can be liable for being like in reality. Honestly, this is a tough one for me. No, but the hold parents criminally liable. That's retarded. No, fund public ad camp. No, waste of money. No, but require vaccination to attend school. I mean, if I'm paying for a school, why do you stop me from attending the school I'm paying for, right? Regardless, it should be a state thing. No. If it's a right for you to not be vaccinated, how is it determined by the state? That's retarded. Yeah, honestly, I'm confused. I would say no, because on a constitutional basis, I think it is, okay, here. Criminally liable for spreading diseases like AIDS. That's a good idea. That's a good compromise, actually. Should producers be required to label genetically engineered foods? I don't care about GMOs to begin with, and then labeling I think is a good idea. Forcing people to put calories on the, calorie stickers is a good idea. Yeah. I don't care about GMOs. Sure, why not? I don't actually know anybody who cares about GMOs anyway, so it's not a big deal either way. Should the government fund space travel? Yeah, of course. But again, expanding the budget, I don't think so. We're in debt, so if you were to look over here, I'll give you a visual representation of the debt right now. You were at what, $26.78 trillion in debt. Again, we are drowning in debt. We have a $3 trillion deficit right now, and as you can see right now as well, I think we should privatize NASA, which Trump has been doing, but also keep it well funded and not increase funding crazily as we do not have money. So I think, yeah, fine. Just keep the funding where it is. Oh yeah, also the somewhat or whatever. I'm not going to fill that out. Too much thinking. Should the president be able to authorize military force against Al Qaeda without congressional approval? Personally, yes, because Al Qaeda, like, those Muslims aren't really a country, so to be asked, oh, can I have permission? That sounds gay. So, actually, no. Congress, yes. Because I believe more gridlock is a good thing. Should the U.S. assassinate suspected terrorists from foreign countries? Yes. Yeah. Kill them. I don't care. Do you support the Obamacare? Most of it I disagree with. Yeah. No, and also make it a market reform so that we can have more competition to lower prices. So that's a good idea. Do you support single-payer healthcare? Hell no. Government should not be involved. I think it should be a little bit. It's too expensive. It's definitely too expensive. Should the federal... Hold on. Let me go down here. Should the federal government increase funding of healthcare for low-income individuals? Medicaid. So Medicaid is for the poor. Okay, not the olds, not the old people. Okay. Should it increase the funding? No, we're broke. What? Abolish Medicaid? No, I'm not that much of a libertarian. No, in each state, yes, leave it up to the states. Should people be required to work in order to receive Medicaid? Huh. Yes, you should be. You should have. You should be required to have a job. If you can physically get a job, you should be forced to have a job while you're on it, so that you're not a burden. Should the government fund the World Health Organization? I saw what Trump did. He got rid of the funding, which is smart. No, we should not fund them. They're ineffective. Yeah, of course. Should the government regulate the prices of life-saving drugs? Huh. 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 Shorten the lifespan of the patents. That's a good idea. So the patents basically let you have a monopoly over a certain drug, but if you shorten the amount of time on the patents, you can allow for more competitiveness in a marketplace, which will lower the price eventually. So that's a good thing. Should cities open drug safe havens where people who are addicted to illegal drugs can do them under supervision of medical professionals? That's an insanely dumb idea. That's like saying, I'm going to let you do said bad things, but as long as you don't die, we're going to let you do it? No, of course not. I'm not going to pay for somebody to do drugs for free, legally, with doctors that I'm paying for with my tax money. That is not right. Okay. Should the federal government be allowed to negotiate drug prices? What? Should the government negotiate drug prices for Medicare? How would that? How, like, the company says, we're going to sell you this pill for $20. You say, oh, how about 15? How about 17? No, that sounds stupid. Have it be the free market. Have competition, and have the lowest price be bought in bulk by the government. That makes sense to me. Should there be more or less privatization of veterans' health care? More privatization, almost any industry, is a good thing. So, more. You should be able to see any doctor that you want, of course. Okay. Should health insurance providers be allowed to deny coverage to individuals who have a pre-existing condition? This is a pretty big deal because you can see people that are diabetic, people that have already had cancer wanting health care, and it's very expensive for them to have it because obviously they're weaker and they're more risky. And the whole point of insurance is for the those agencies to make money and profit. So taking in a ton of sick people in proportion to the amount of healthy people and young people is counterintuitive. Therefore, it kind of excludes the unhealthy. But at the same time, everybody should theoretically be able to get accessible, low-cost, high-quality health care, which would then mean that you need some sort of safety net and a sort of thing where, yes, we're going to put in some regulations. Yes, you have to provide pre-existing condition people health care, or you let them buy it at a reasonable price. But at the same time, you're going to have to have a big pool of healthy people to compensate for that ratio. So, yeah. So, ensuring people with pre-existing... No, the government should not be involved in it. Huh. No, I think it's immoral. Yeah, it's immoral. How about that? Also, I see ads all the time saying, so-and-so voted to get rid of pre-existing conditions, and it's a killer, 2018 midterms, healthcare was very important. People that voted against pre-existing conditions got killed. So, politically speaking as well, I agree we should keep pre-existing conditions as a part of Obamacare. Should the government increase funding for the mental health research and treatment? No. We don't have money for this. No, incentivize private companies. Why? Why incentivize them? That's their problem. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? One option is medical, which is gay. Yes, and also free people that have done that solely for doing weed. Yes, legalize it, tax and regulate it. like a lot of Democrats are saying, or increase penalties for non-violent drug offenders. Huh. No, I don't want weed on the street at all. Should the government increase or decrease military spending? Huh. Should the government increase or decrease? I'll just say increase, but after the deficit's taken care of, and I'll tell you why. I think I want the effectiveness of the military to be the same, but, there's plenty of bases that could be closed down easily, but a lot of congressmen won't support such a reform. And as you can see right now, in terms of spending on the DoD, it's about like $700 billion a year, which would include the fact that they're paying interest on that debt, but as well as I believe also there's certain things, regulations, where all of the military parts have to be made in America. That's fine, but we have to look at more efficient ways to redistribute this. Like, as an example, a congressman will lobby for a military part factory to be built in one place and then be assembled in a completely other place or whatever, because it's like again, it's a lot of lobbying by the congressional delegations of a lot of states. So I think reducing that influence and then getting rid of earmarks, expansions into certain districts to appease certain congressmen, that leads to a lot of overspending, and there needs to be a serious auditing of the Pentagon and see what's going on. Without reducing effectiveness, we can reduce the spending, but it is facetious to say that I'm going to cut spending and then reduce effectiveness. That's not necessarily the case, as seen with like Donald Trump, where he's compensating for cutting money to NATO, for example, by getting the Europeans to pay their fair share. That's an easy way of getting other people to pay for our stuff without, spending our own money, which is cutting the military spending, but also at the same time keeping the effectiveness the same. So that's a good thing. Should the U.S. accept refugees from Syria? No, of course not. No, and send them all back. Hell yeah. Why? Because the Syrian refugees that I know of are terrible people. Okay? Anecdotally, I've only known a couple, but not a good impression. From what I've heard of other people I know, not a good impression either. They're uneducated. They don't speak English, and I'm talking about stereotypes in most of them. They don't speak fluent English. They don't look American. They don't act American. They're not culturally similar. Most of them are not Christian. They're Muslims. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization and liberalism in general, so I just don't think that's a good idea. Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? Hell no, of course not. Huh. They're not citizens, so they don't get rights. Exactly. Should the military be allowed enhanced interrogation techniques such as waterboarding to gain information from suspected terrorists? Huh. Okay, so no, because of the Eighth Amendment. Well, number one, they're foreign terrorists, right? So it doesn't count. And Geneva Convention, I don't care. What is Europe gonna do about it? And I don't care. I don't feel an ounce of sympathy for terrorists, alright? Or even suspected terrorists, I don't really care. So let's torture them. Yeah, probably. Should every 18-year-old citizen be required to provide at least 1 year of military service? That may sound good on paper, but that's very dumb. Service should be a choice instead of an obligation, I agree. Should the United States remain in the United Nations? Yes, we should, but scale back the involvement, yeah. Because we are giving too much money to them. And Trump has done part of the defunding in certain aspects of the UN because he's smart. Do you support the killing of Iranian Major General Qasem Soleimani? Yes, and we should start a war with Iran. Yes, Iran supported ISIS through their actions and continue to destabilize the Middle East. No, Yes. Do you support Obama's move to lift the trade and travel embargo with Cuba? No, because basically what he did was he gave concessions to the Cubans in exchange for a photo op, so it was not worth it. We should force stuff out of them in exchange. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? Yes, with more aid and support. Yes, increase funding in order to move that already happened. Yes, but respect its sovereignty and do not dictate how it should interact with its neighbors. We should give equal support to Israel. That's a naive, stupid point. Not the current administration. That's stupid. No, cut all support and aid. No, we should be less involved. No, we should not give aid to any foreign nations. Should the U.S. continue to aid Israel? Well, continue to support Israel, but not give it aid. Why? I want to say yes and cut all support and aid, but it doesn't let me, so I'll just say no, cut all support and aid. But I do support Israel over Palestine, and obviously it should exist, and we should stop giving them money when we're so much in debt. And in fact, Israel is less in debt than we are, so they should have no problems. Should the U.S. remain in NATO? Yes, but NATO should focus more on counterterrorism strategies. No, it's obsolete. No, other countries. Yeah, yes, because, we'll do the financial contributions, even though technically I don't support pulling out until after they prove they're not going to spend the money. But Trump, so far, has proven that they are spending the money, right? On pace, for the most part. Should the U.S. increase or decrease foreign aid spending? No increasing, of course, we're in debt, so no. I'm satisfied, no. Decrease until we have our national budget deficit fixed, yes. Should the United States pull all troops out of Afghanistan? Eventually, yeah, sure. Because we like even neocons, Lindsey Graham will admit, we are in a stagnant situation, nothing. The best outcome is no outcome, basically, in Afghanistan, so we might as well just cut our losses and go back. Should Jerusalem be recognized as the capital of Israel? Fine, yeah, of course, I don't care. Yes, another government should, the Muslims need to get in line. Should the U.S. defend other NATO countries that maintain low military defense budgets relative to their GDP? No. We should make them pay us, yes. Should the military fly drones over foreign countries to gain influence and kill suspected terrorists? Yeah, sure. Kill terrorists and get intel. That's a good idea. Should the U.S. continue NSA surveillance of its allies? I don't think we should be spying allied countries. That seems like a waste of time. Like, well, allies as in what? Like, spying on France, Belgium? Like, really? Do you need to do that? Now, okay, maybe spying on, I don't know, China? Yeah, fine, but, Should the Chinese government be able to extradite fugitives from Hong Kong? What does that even mean? I'm anti-China, so I'm just going to say no. Should the government cancel production of the F-35? No, the F-35 is a good fighter, in my opinion, especially the newer renditions where they're changing the setup of the guns on there. Should the U.S. sell military weapons to India in order to counter Chinese and Russian influence? Yes. If we're making money, we might as well sell anything to like almost any country that is not China, Russia, North Korea, Cuba, and a couple other ones. Should the U.S. go to war with Iran? No, of course not. Should the government attempt to influence foreign elections? A lot of reasons to do this. In general, we probably shouldn't stick our nose in this, but maybe security threats security threats. It's hard to justify doing this, though, in general. Should it be illegal to join a boycott of Israel? I think that's a violation of free speech. You should be able to boycott whatever country you want. outside of ours, of course. Should the U.S. conduct military strikes against North Korea in order to destroy their long-range missile and nuclear weapons capabilities? That's a reckless decision, and I don't see that as a problem right now. I wouldn't even put it on the table for a while, assuming things don't go bad. So, yeah, it's not a threat right now. Should there be more restrictions on the current process of purchasing a gun? Hell no. I want less regulation, basically. So gun control on assault weapons, no. Gun control on criminals and the mentally ill, that's a good idea. Increase penalties for gun-related crimes, maybe. No, and the government should pass a national stand your ground law. Yeah, this one's my favorite. I agree with the Castle Doctrine and the defend yourself thing. Should teachers be allowed, like Kyle Rittenhouse did, should teachers be allowed to carry guns at school? Yeah, I think you should have the right to have a gun. What are the odds that a teacher pulls a gun on the students? I really doubt it, so yeah, fine. Should the President of the United States have the power to deploy military troops in order to stop protests? Well, what protest? I guess protest and riots are synonymous, so I think... I guess if the military, if the governor or the mayor loses control of, I guess protest in this context means a riot as well, then yes, the federal government should step in. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearms dealers and manufacturers? No, because it takes a person to shoot a gun, not like the other way around. If I stab you with I don't know what brands of knives there are. Let's say I stab you with a Walmart knife. You're not supposed to sue Walmart for making the knife, right? So, It's a constitutional right to sue anyone? Is it? No, manufacturers and dealers should be only held... I don't care. Let's just say if the losing party pays all the fees, because then they won't sue you, because you'll win. Are you in favor of decriminalizing drug use? I personally would say, No, I'm just joking. No, definitely decriminalize nothing. I want higher punishment for drug dealers, exactly. Do I support affirmative action? 100% no, I don't. No, and minority groups should not receive any favorable treatment, exactly. Should there be a no-fly list? Should people from the no-fly list be banned for purchasing guns and ammunition? See, there's a loophole here because the no-fly list can be a lot of things that have nothing to do with gun safety, so that's just a Democrat loophole. So no, it's unconstitutional. Yeah. Or no, slippery slope. Yeah, slippery slope is a good argument for conservatives to make. Do you support the Patriot Act? Yes, but the sections involving surveillance and criminalization are too broad. Actually, no. Pass strict laws requiring warrants for surveillance. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Should the state government order schools to provide online-only classes in order to combat coronavirus? Yeah, that's gay. I think if you're paying for a school, you should be able to attend the physical school. And these people are honestly asking for even more money on top of what they get. Even though the school's closed, so you don't need the funding for the actual school nearly as much. So those dishonest teachers unions are really driving up this debt right here. Especially for the state and local taxes, it's a killer. Education is, so I think it should be no unless there's an uncontrollable... No, just no. Just no. No. What are the death rates for children anyway? It's nothing. I saw a thing where it's 25,000 college kids that got corona. Only one of them got hospitalized or something. Really? None of them died? And what if they touch grandma? It's well, then stay away from old people for a while. Jesus Christ. It should be all people go to school, with no mask required, and you should be able to take online classes if you're stuck living with your grandma, if you're stuck living with old people, or for whatever other reason, like if you're weak or you're retarded, like you have a Down syndrome thing or autoimmune or something that would maybe give you a comorbidity, perhaps. Do online school and have that as an option for people, but at the same time restricting the lives of healthy 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, like, are you kidding me? So stupid. Should it be illegal to burn the American flag? I'd say there's a free speech thing of burning the American flag, but also I feel as if there has to be some sort of, like, common sense, like, obscenity rules, right? Screaming fire in a movie theater, something like that. Common sense restrictions on speech. For example, threatening somebody should be bad, illegal. Burning the flag, inciting a communist revolution or whatever, stuff like that. Should the Supreme Court be reformed to include more seats and term limits on judges? Of course not. Of course not. No, reforming the Supreme Court is unconstitutional. Exactly. Should college sports be played in the fall of 2020? Yes, but with strict precautions, testing, and no fun. No fun. Yes, sports are a central revenue stream for college. Exactly. No, until there's a vaccine. I don't care. No, and for shut up. Okay. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Let them play, dude. You're really scared about, like, 20-year-old muscular, like, in shape football players from dying of COVID, you idiots. Or what if they spread it to Grammy? Well, then they spread it to Grammy. Tell them not to be around people over the age of 60, not to be around people with certain disabilities, and that's up to them. Should the U.S. government grant immunity to Edward Snowden? Yes. Investigate the CIA, the deep state. Yes, exactly. Investigate them. Should social media companies ban political advertising? No, why? I don't care. Should the government be allowed to seize private property with reasonable compensation for public or civic use? Okay. I think they should in extreme cases, like the wall or something like that. Or, I don't know, something along those lines. And if they pay you well. Like, if I have a ranch that's worth $1 million on the border, and I don't consent to them taking it, they should say, okay, here's $2 million, here's $3 million, but get out. Fine. Should the military upgrade Air Force One? It's already there. It's already, well, this is what Trump did. Reduce the cost and buy the new ones, yeah. Should local police increase surveillance and patrol of Muslim neighborhoods? Should local police increase surveillance and patrol of Muslims? That makes sense, but I don't think you should have a specific rule about Muslims because that looks bad. Yeah, it should be based on crime rates instead of race and religion. That makes sense to me, like Comstat, yeah. Now, it'll disproportionately be against non-whites and non-Jews and non-Asians, but whoop-de-doo, that's their problem. Should the internet service providers be allowed to speed up access to popular websites that pay higher rates for internet at the expense of slowing down access to less popular websites? Okay. Let's just keep it equal. I don't want to see a slow website thing. That's kind of gay. Should there be term limits set for members of Congress? Should there be a term limit for members of Congress? No, and I'll tell you why. I'd say it because the whole point of the Congress is that the longer you stay, the more power you get, and the more clout, better chairmanships and you eventually become speaker or Senate Majority Leader. And that defeats the purpose if you're going to have a term limit, because then you're going to have a ton of people that are like 5th term, 3rd term, and who becomes the leader then? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Should the NSA be allowed to collect basic metadata of citizens' phone calls, such as numbers, timestamps, and call durations? No, you need a warrant for that. And, abolish the NSA. I don't know. Maybe there's some good things in there, so I will keep the agency alive, but diminish it. Should the withdrawing of congressional districts be controlled by an independent, nonpartisan commission? No. I like gerrymandering because it's, kind of cool. And nonpartisan, gay. Should the government pass laws which protect whistleblowers? Yes, as long as the information does not threaten us. Yeah, okay, fine. Should the government regulate social media sites as to prevent fake news? That is insane. Of course not. Imagine if the Democrats took power, how regulated the internet would be. That'd be terrible. Should the government raise the age of retirement for Social Security? Yes, in exchange for eliminating the income gap on taxable earnings. So, for example, you'll only get taxed Social Security if you make under $140,000, right? But if, let's say, your income, for whatever reason, is $50 million a year, you're only paying Social Security on the first $140,000. So, that's wrong. I think if a person making $50,000 is paying 6%, a person making $10 million should be paying 6% as well, at the very least, if not more. So, yes, and eliminate the income. Yeah, fine. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? No, and defund all abortion organizations, of course. What is your stance on abortion? Pro-life, pro-choice, pro-life. But I also oppose abortion for rape and incest. I'm pro-life, but I do allow abortion in the case of rape, incest, or danger to mother or child. You're retarded. Danger to mother or child? So if there's a danger to the health of the child, you're just going to kill it? What? Pro-choice but ban after 3 months. Pro-choice, I don't agree with the government that it has a right to ban it. Okay. I'd say I'm completely pro-life no matter what, because I personally believe that life begins at conception. Therefore, there's literally no reason to preemptively take the life away. Otherwise, it is murder. And I understand, well, what if the mom dies? I guess killing the kid, murdering the kid for the sake of the mother is immoral, and I think you just have to risk it, and it's kind of a sad thing, but yeah. Should health insurance providers be required to offer free birth control? Of course not. The government should not decide what services a private business can provide. Dead on right. Yeah, right. Okay. Should gender identity be added to anti-discrimination law? That's basically like saying, should transvestites be, or transsexuals be protected in anti-discrimination laws? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, frankly, we should limit rights for gays. So, no, there are only 2 genders. Exactly. Should a business be able to deny service to a customer if the request conflicts with the religious beliefs of the owner? So, if I am selling wedding cakes and a gay couple goes up and says, I want a cake, and I say, no, you're gay, I don't think gays should be able to get married, much less be ordained by the Lord or whatever, then that's up to me, of course. Should a business be able to deny? Yes, period, yes. If I have a religious belief where it says, well, you cannot let midgets buy cakes or whatever, that's up to you. And if there's a boycott of your store, well, that's up to the people that are boycotting it, right? I mean, come on. Do you support the legalization of same-sex marriage? No. I just simply do not support that. Okay? it's already been legalized, but in the past tense. If this were 2014, I do not support gay marriage in the slightest, and even if it is constitutionally required, I don't honestly care. And you're gonna have to take that from the grips of my cold dead hands, because I don't care. No, marriage should be defined as between a man and a woman, exactly. You have to have some social values, right? Should transgender athletes be allowed to compete in athletic events? No, of course not. The guys would kill girls in plenty of sports. Should the federal government institute a mandatory buyback of insult? No. What? That's a violation of the Second Amendment. Okay. Should universities provide trigger warnings and safe spaces for students? Honestly, no. Why? That's not up to the university to do. And if you need a safe space for your ideas, then your ideas probably aren't too good, or you're just a weak snowflake, right? Yeah, okay. Social questions again. Should gay couples have the same adoption rights of straight couples? No. And I believe a mother and a father are the best structure for raising a child, obviously. Should states be allowed to display the Confederate flag on government property? Well, that's quite interesting to me, because when you look at, I don't know, government property, well, in museums, yes, but in general, like Capitol buildings, it's the flag of another country, so to speak. So, by technicality, of course not. So, yes, put it in a museum. That makes sense. Do you support the death penalty? Of course. I would just say, yeah. Maybe expedite the process. Take away the right to appeal a death sentence, because it takes way too long to kill the people in there. Should businesses be required to have women on the board of directors? No, you should not enforce diversity. Should the government support a separation of church and state by removing references to God on money, federal buildings, and national monuments? No. No, because, why? Who cares? Should the government be allowed to wear a niqab or a face veil to civic ceremonies? No, I don't care. No, don't wear your Muslim thing. You're not allowed. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted? And also, by the way, like in the libertarian constitutionalist side of my head, I would think, well, no, technically you can wear whatever you want. I don't care. Like, when have libertarian socialists said, well, man, you should keep your guns, man. You have the right to freeze. No, they don't care about us. No. No concessions allowed. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted suicide? No, obviously not. Suicide is bad. Should hate speech be protected by the First Amendment? Yes, as long as you're not threatening anybody. Hate speech as in, like, the N-word, yeah, of course, do not ban that. That's a part of the First Amendment. As long as you're not hurting anybody, then you should be able to say what you want. Well, as long as you're not threatening either. Should marital rape be classified and punished as severely as non-marital rape? I'd say it's marital. Like, if you're married to somebody and you rape them, I mean, how does that even? Like, I'm assuming that's like in the case of like you're in bed with your wife and your wife like doesn't want it, like not in the mood, and you still go for it. That's more domestic violence than like, I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing to do, obviously, but if you're in a contract binding yourself to that other person, then there's some sort of obligation to, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure, but domestic, yeah, definitely make it a crime, but to like marital, like to an extent you're already consenting, right? But I don't know. I'm not very strong in my idea. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Should the military allow women to serve in combat roles? No, I would say this because they do get sexually assaulted a lot, and with most rapes and other things like that, there's never any solid proof that can get a conviction, especially when you have a ton of guys in the barracks covering for each other. So again, no, I don't think having a barrack or whatever with like two girls and 100 guys, that does not seem like a good idea to me in any world. Should the U.S. build a wall along the southern border? Yes, and make Mexico pay for it, of course. Should illegal immigrants have access to subsidized health care? No, and deport all of them. Yes, exactly. Should illegal immigrants be offered in-state tuitions? That's like saying, this is an important topic. In 2012, Rick Perry was slammed by, I think, Mitt Romney for giving the illegals, the DACA, young adults, in-state tuition rates, but giving Oklahomans higher income, higher tuition rates. So as an example, if you're an illegal in Arizona, you pay, let's say, $13,000 to go to ASU, but if you're like a 10th generation guy from Massachusetts and you're a WASP, you go to Arizona State University and you're paying 20 grand or 30 grand in out-of-state tuition. So an American who's been here for 200 years or whatever is over here paying double what an illegal immigrant is paying to go to college. And it's weird to me because if you're an illegal immigrant, then don't go to college. You should not be allowed to do this. It's common sense. Should illegal immigrants? Yeah, of course not. And they should be deported. Should law enforcement be allowed to detain illegal immigrants for minor crimes and transfer them to the federal immigration? Yes. Turn them all to the federal authorities and throw them out. Should children of illegal immigrants be granted legal citizenship? No, because I don't believe in birthright citizenship for one, and by that I mean just solely. If you're born here to parents that came here illegally, I think that's wrong, and you should not get citizenship for that. And they should all all illegals need to be deported, of course. Should sanctuary cities receive federal funding? No, ban them, of course. Common sense. Should Muslim immigrants be banned from entering the country until the government improves its ability to screen out potential terrorists? Yes, look, being Muslim, whether you be a white Muslim, an Asian Muslim, whatever, Islam in and of itself is not a race, but of course it is a culture and it is a religion, so to speak. I believe Islam and Muslims that believe in Islam genuinely are not compatible with our sort of rule-making and civilization. You see, Sharia law, that is not compatible with what we have. Should immigrants be required to learn English? Yes, of course. If you're going to be in a country where they speak a language, you've got to learn it, of course. Should working illegal immigrants be given temporary amnesty? Why? No amnesty. No, get them out. Okay. So, should the U.S. increase restrictions on current border security policy? Should the United States increase restrictions on its current... Yes, more enforcement. Should the U.S. increase or decrease the amount of temporary work visas given to high-skilled immigrant workers? That's... Wow. Like, what? How am I supposed to... Should the U.S. increase or decrease? Well, of course, decrease. Yeah, H-1B. That's basically what it's asking. I'm against that. Should immigrants to the United States be allowed to hold dual citizenship status? Unless they have committed an no. I think it should be grandfathered in, obviously. I think that any new people should renounce their citizenship to other countries. We have a huge problem where, like, let's say you're a citizen of Somalia, you're going to have a dual allegiance to the people of Somalia. Israel's a common dual citizenship state, Mexico, whatever. Should immigrants be required to pass a citizenship test to demonstrate a basic understanding of the language, history, and government? Yes, and we need even more than the basic level of understanding, of course. Should immigrants be deported if they commit a serious crime? Yes, obviously. Should there be a temporary ban on all immigration? Because of coronavirus, definitely a temporary ban at the very least. Should the government increase environmental regulation to prevent climate change? No, climate change is a hoax. It's a hoax. By that I mean it's exaggerated. Is it man-made? Is it not? Whatever. Should the U.S. withdraw? We already have, basically, but yes, we should withdraw, of course. I don't care about that. Should disposable products such as plastic cups, plates, cutlery that contain less than 50% biodegradable material be banned? No. What business does the government have in regulating environmental things such as, like, forks? That's stupid. Do you support the use of hydraulic fracking to extract oil and natural gas resources? Do you support the use of hydraulic fracking? Yes, fracking is a great thing. Should the U.S. expand offshore oil drilling? Yes, and deregulate. Perfect. Should the government stop the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline? No, we should keep it going. That's the Dakota XL, right? Should researchers be allowed to use animals in testing the safety of drugs, vaccine, medical devices? Yeah, I rather them test on animals than humans, and that's the alternative. Should the government give tax credits and subsidies to the wind power industry? No, we should not incentivize that. Wind power is weak anyway. Should drilling be allowed on the Alaska Wildlife Refuge? I've barely heard of this, so I don't really know. Honestly, let's make sure it's safe, though. I'm not sure how precious that land is. Should cities be allowed to offer private companies economic incentive to relocate? What business does the president have to do with that? Interesting. Should cities be allowed to private... I think as long as you make more money from it eventually, yeah. Should funding for local police departments be redirected to social and community-based? Yes, and abolish that's insane. You replace police with unarmed community-based responders, and that's stupid. No, increase funding and training for... No, just don't change the funding. Should convicted criminals have the right to vote? Of course not. Do you support the mandatory minimum prison sentences for people charged with drug possession? Yeah, you should go to jail if you do drugs. Depending, of course. Depending. It's pretty nuanced, though. I'm not sure. Should prisons have banned the use of solitary confinement for juveniles? No, if you're a murderer or rapist and you're 17 and you're considered a juvenile, they should put you in the hole, whatever. Should non-violent prisoners be released from jail in order to reduce overcrowding? No, just build more prisons, of course. Oh, whoop-de-doo, we have too many criminals, huh? Let them out or build more prisons? Well, obviously build more prisons. Should police officers be required to wear body cameras? Yes, I think they should have to. That just makes sense. And they're great to watch, body cam videos. And it's key for courts to know what happened. Should the government hire private companies to run prisons? I guess if they're strictly regulated, but I have seen corruption in those, like from the internet, just reading stuff. The private prisons have their own problems, but if they do save money, they save money. So we'll see what type of perverse incentives they may have, and we'll try to get rid of those. Should drug traffickers receive the death penalty? Yes. Yes, they should. Yeah, just kill them. Should the U.S. raise taxes on the rich? No. Abolish all income tax. Okay, that's retarded. Lower the income tax rate and remove all existing loopholes? No. Keep the current. Reform the flat tax. Let's just keep the current structure. Should the government raise the federal minimum wage? No. Of course, that's so idiotic. That's a non-starter. Do you support UBI? No, of course not. Okay, more economic questions. Should the U.S. lower or raise the tax rate on corporations? Okay. Let's lower them, but also eliminate loopholes and deductions. That makes sense. Should welfare recipients be tested for drugs? I think only if they have a criminal history, yeah. If you have no suspicion of somebody being on welfare doing drugs, then why would you test them? That's a waste. Should employers be required to pay men and women for the same salary for the same job? No, that's already a thing. The wage gap is a misnomer. That's retarded. Okay, there's even more questions. Damn, this is so long. Do you believe in labor unions? Do you believe that they hurt or help the economy? In terms of economic growth, that's the only metric you're looking at. They do hurt, but at the same time, they help a lot of workers within it, but that's usually a parasitic type of thing. Should there be fewer or more restrictions on the current welfare benefits? More, of course. Should the government make cuts to public spending in order to reduce the... Yeah, obviously. Reduce the debt. Should the government increase the tax rate on profits earned from the sale of stocks, bonds, and real estate? Oh, no. I am in general for lowering the taxes. Should businesses be required to provide paid leave for full-time employees during the birth of a child or a sick family member? No, that's up to them. Should the current estate tax be decreased? Yes, we should just get rid of it. Yeah, I agree. It's a travesty what happens sometimes. You have like a dad that owns a ranch or a farm of like $30 million, and you end up being taxed for like half of it, and you have to sell the farm. It just cannibalizes growth. It's dumb. Should the government require businesses to pay salaried employees making up to $46,000 a year, time and a half for overtime hours? What? That's such an arbitrary number and regulation. I think that is dumb. Should the government use economic stimulus to aid the country during the times of recession? I think that should be on tax breaks for everybody. Yeah, that makes sense. Instead of the government spending money, it should be cutting the revenue instead. So you give the people the power to buy stuff instead of the government messing it up. Should pension plans for federal, state, and local government workers be transitioned into privately managed accounts? Yeah, eventually, because I think the pensions are insane. The pension system in New York and California and Illinois are unsustainable as they are. So I think in general we could look for a workaround eventually. Should the U.S. continue NAFTA? I think we should go either for ending NAFTA or going for complete free trade, which is better. Should the U.S. increase tariffs on imported products from China? Yes, we need to punish them for their currency manipulation. Yeah, I hate China. Should the government break up Amazon, Facebook, and Google? No, that's dumb. Economic questions again. Should U.S. citizens be allowed to save and invest their money offshore and into bank accounts? No, I think there's way too many Swiss accounts, and I mean, to an extent, like, if you're middle class and want to do that, okay, but I mean, like, I'm talking about people moving all their wealth to Ireland to pay lower tax. That's unpatriotic to me. Should pension payments be increased for retirement government workers? No, because the debt is more important right now. Should the president offer tax breaks to individual companies to keep jobs in America? Sure, if they come back and stay here, yeah. If it's profitable in the end for the government in terms of them not being at a loss of revenue, that's good. Do you support the TPP? No, there's too many. Exactly, it's supposed to be an anti-China thing, but what would happen is that instead of the Chinese selling stuff to America, they'd just be selling stuff to Vietnam and then sell that stuff to us. So it's a workaround. It's a crappy deal. Should the U.S. government subsidize farmers? Yes, only to stabilize prices and to keep a kind of a sort of autarky in terms of food and all that. Would you favor an increased sales tax in order to reduce property tax? Interesting. Let's cut government spending before we raise taxes, of course. But between sales tax and property tax, I'm not sure which is better. Should the government add or increase tariffs on products imported into the country? Add or increase tariffs. No, I think tariffs should be used almost exclusively on places like Iran, China, North Korea, etc. But when we're talking about tariffs on Japan or something, no, in general, we should stay away from long-term tariffs. Should the government acquire equity stakes in companies it bails out during a recession? No, that's stupid. I don't want the government to control private companies in general. Should an in-state sales tax apply to online purchasers of in-state buyers from out-state sellers? That's so confusing to me. Like, what does that even mean? I guess. Wait, hold on. I guess it's a constitutional thing, so I'll just make the government less powerful in this case, because that's typically what I like doing. Should the government prevent mega mergers of corporations that could potentially control a large percentage of the market share within its industry? No, because the monopoly thing is a fallacy. The government usually allows there to be a monopoly through regulation, so it's a government problem, not a antitrust problem, honestly. Should the IRS create a free electronic tax filing system? If that makes things simpler, yes. Should the Federal Reserve Bank be audited by Congress? Isn't it already audited? I don't know. But fine, sure, why? I don't honestly care, but yeah, fine. That's populist, right? That's popular. Should the government classify Bitcoin? That thing fell off the face of the earth, didn't it? Who cares? But no, it should not be. It should not. Of course not. The dollar should be the only thing that matters. Should the government increase spending on public transportation? We should just privatize it. We don't have the money to spend. Should the Electoral College be banned? Abolished? No, this is going to help the Republicans in the long term and the rural population in general. So we ought to keep it that way. Should a photo ID be required to vote? Yes, because we need to make sure that we need to make sure that people are legally here. We don't want anybody who can't vote to vote. Should foreigners currently residing in the United States have the right to vote? No, only citizens should be able. Yeah, of course. Should the U.S. have mail-in ballot process for the whole states and local, state, and federal elections? No, mail-in ballots gay. Should political candidates be required to release their tax returns to the public? Should they have to? Maybe it's the no, but I would like it if they did. But also yes, because that means that, well, I don't know. If there's no constitutional problem, yes, they should be required to do it. So we have more transparency from the politicians that are running for president. Should there be a limit to the amount of money a candidate can receive for a donor? No, as long as they're all public knowledge. Yeah, that's what I think. Like, maybe do take the Soros money, but people have to know about it. But at the same time, should one person have that much influence over an election? Is that the point of democracy? I mean, because, like, at the same time, but I want to stop those Soroses and those Koch brothers and Bloomberg. This is a constitutional problem. And if I'm going to be a hardliner, this is the one I would pick, which is the public knowledge one. But I think there should be it should be a thing where you can only give so much, because honestly, yeah, I mean, I just don't want so few people to control so much of the electorate. Should the minimum voting age be lowered? That is ridiculous. It should be raised, if anything. Should corporations, unions, or nonprofit organizations be allowed to donate to political parties? No, and I will tell you, because these non-for-profits are just subsidiaries of rich people trying to skirt already, financial disclosure laws or whatever. So, meaning that, yeah, fine, you can do that, but just to a limited extent. Should a politician who has been formally convicted of a crime be allowed to run for office? No, let's just weed out people that are criminals or have been. I don't know. It can't be a good thing that they are former felons or criminals in any extent. Should foreign lobbyists be allowed to raise money for American elections? That sounds like a toxic thing to do. That cannot be good for the American heartland. So, no foreign interest should be able to buy the influence of the politicians, of course. Should there be a 5-year ban on White House and congressional officials from becoming lobbyists after they leave the government? I think we should just ban it altogether, all lifetime ban of lobbying from politicians. Should the federal government pay tuition at a 4-year college and university? Interesting. No, but provide more scholarship. But provide more scholarship opportunities for low income. No, the government should not be involved in colleges for the most part. Do you support increasing taxes for the rich in order to reduce interest rates for loans? No, what? That's stupid. No. Should the government fund universal preschool? No, because we don't have the money to do that, so no. Period. Done. Do you support Common Core? Honestly, Yeah, it should be state and local, not the national. Yeah, of course. Should the government decriminalize truancy? No, I think you should be forced to put your kid into the school over there. Do you support charter schools? Do I support charter schools? Yes, of course. I think competition against the public schools is a good thing. So, yeah, privatization is a good thing. Not forced, but yeah, sure, fine. But obviously not at the expense of public schools, right? Actually, no, because it's a voucher. Yeah, the voucher's what I want. That's exactly what I want. So, this isn't even the... Yeah, whatever. If the 2020 Arizona... I don't care. If the U.S. Senate election... Okay. Martha McSally over Mark Kelly, of course. If the presidential election were here today, who would you vote for? Joe Jorgensen, unattractive libertarian. Joe Biden, demented leftist. Howie Hawkins, a retard, Green Party. Donald Trump, the God Emperor. Brian Carroll, I haven't heard of this guy, so we're going Donald Trump. What qualities are most important to you in a candidate? How many can I pick? Vision, that's a good thing. Transparency, that's a good thing. Consistency, that's a good thing. Integrity, that's a good thing. Effectiveness is a great thing. I'm definitely clicking this. Leadership is a good thing. Communications is a good thing. Morality is a good thing. Commitment is a good thing. Intelligence it's a good thing. Honesty is a good thing. Determination is a good thing. Accountability is a good thing. Common sense is a good thing. So I'm going to say effectiveness, intelligence, and common sense. I'll just say this one. All right. What are my results? It better be that I'm aligned with Donald Trump, of course, because that's who I'm supporting. That's who I I had a MAGA hat. I've supported the president since I think August of 2015. So it's been over 5 years. I've supported him since just about the beginning. I would not be surprised. I don't know. I would say I agree with Donald Trump on like 95% of what he does as president. On paper, I agree with him like 80%. We have slightly different views on trade. We have slightly different views on the gays. We have slightly different views on immigration, perhaps. But in general, I am in vast agreement with the president and his policies. Whereas with Joe Biden, I literally only agree with him on one thing over Trump, I believe. And that is the taxable income on Social Security. Not a big deal. Wow. Donald John Trump. So this is the presidential ballot. Based on my political beliefs, this is who I would side with. Donald Trump. Joe Jorgensen. So, Donald Trump has charisma, patriotism, determination. He's right-wing. He's an assimilationist and a nationalist. Joe Jorgensen is decentralization, libertarianism, small government, isolationism. Brian Carroll is honesty, humility, compassion, democratic socialism, big government. Democrat Joe Biden, sense of humor, government experience, foreign policy experience, big government. Green Party, Howie Hawkins, 18%. Leadership, communications, intelligence, democracy, left wing, big government. So this is really weird to me. This is really weird. Donald Trump, 87%. Then Joe Jorgensen, okay, libertarian. But for whatever reason, with this Democratic Socialist above Sleepy Joe, interesting, right? Let's get rid of Jorgensen, Hawkins, Carroll. All right. What the hell? Candidates that have dropped out. There's so many people that Yeah. So I'm 87% in agreement with Donald Trump, only 25% with Biden, just like I told you. Let's add in. Wow, there's so many people to add on this individual thing. Awesome. That's so interesting. My ballot. What does that even mean? Okay, who cares about that? Oh, did I? Hold on. So, guys, as you can see, I have Martha McSally, 82% in agreement with, and only 16% in agreement with Mark Kelly. So, obviously, I agree with Martha less than Donald Trump, but I agree with Joe Biden more than Mark Kelly. So, you can just see Martha is to the left of Trump, apparently, and Kelly's to the left of Biden. Isn't that kind of interesting to see? So yeah, I'm pro McSally, but Donald is the best. Okay, frankly, that is what's going on. And again, very crazy how. Oh, apparently I am more of a constitutionalist, ever so slightly, according to the 2016 numbers. So I agree with Mike Pence almost exactly as much as I would do with Donald, so that's a good thing. I agree more with Joe Biden than I do with Obama. Interesting. I agree more with Trump than I do Mitt Romney. That's good. That's a good thing. Wow, these are such interesting numbers, aren't they? Kind of interesting. I'm in between a constitutionalist and a Republican in terms of ideology. Isn't that quite fascinating, actually? Huh. Awesome. But as you can see, the Democrats are not very popular according to the ideas with me. They're in the teens or 20-ish%. The Republicans, by and large, are like 80% in common with me. So, obviously, the Republicans are the party for me. Alright. Anyways, guys, that's what's going on in this channel. I am a Trump supporter, 87% of the way there. That's what's going on right now. Guys, thank you for watching. Oh, wait, look. 90% Constitution, 87% Republican. Apparently, 63% Libertarian, then Democratic, then Green Party, then Socialist, then Transhumanist, and then Peace and Freedom. So obviously, I'm doing pretty well. It seems to me that I am... Where am I? The star? So, I am in the GOP area, more or less. I'm a right-winger. Interesting. Quite cool, right? I mean, how I'm doing in regards to the election. I'm not gonna vote Constitution. Believe it or not, I do not support the Constitution Party. They're retards. They're like gonna spoil the election for us, and I don't like that. I may like their logo better. Look at the eagle. That's awesome. It's like a red eagle flag and then a blue eagle on top. But that's what's going on. That's what's happening in this election. A lot of choices have to be made. Whether you're gonna whether you're gonna be a cuck and vote for Biden, or if you're gonna go full way MAGA, like me, and support Donald Trump for president. Right? Thank you if you watched the video all the way through. God knows how you could do it. And you hear this, comment down below, and I will pin your comment. And I will also maybe shout you out. And also, if you're all the way back here, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I am exhausted.